sorry about that. But let's go ahead and get started with the icebreaker.
How is everyone?
So I'm good, alhamdulillah. I hope everyone is doing well. So for today's icebreaker, I thought we could do like an environmental would you rather. So if anyone wants to answer any of the or go ahead and unmute and say so. But I thought these are all like interesting. So I'll go ahead and answer one. If I could explore space or explore the oceans, I think I would explore the ocean because we already know a lot about space. In fact, we know more about space than the ocean. So I would go ahead and explore the oceans. Anyone else?
I would probably explore space because I feel like there's so much like out there, so it'd be like cool to see everything.
Yeah, that's really cool. Anyone else? You can do any of them, but not just the one I said.
I would rather give up meat than my car.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to give up cars because we use them so much.
I would probably take one long distance flight. I have to have hot showers. I really can't have cold showers.
True. Anyone else?
I would give a presentation instead of joining a climate march.
Interesting.
I would regrow a coral reef instead of plant a forest.
Nice.
I will use reusable bags.
All right. That was almost everyone. Anyone else want to go?
I'll go. I would probably take a cold showers for a year instead of long distance flight because I don't like long distance flights, and I take cold showers like every day anyways.
Wow, that's pretty good. Well, I feel like that was everyone. So let's go ahead and begin the interview. Rainforest, if you could read the bio.
Of course. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so Shanim Syed is our Oliver today, and some background info on her. She was born, raised, and studied in Hyderabad, India. Bachelor of Science from Women's College of Hyderabad. Moved to the US and settled in Orange County as a full-time homemaker, having 4 children and 4 grandchildren. She has been a resident of Fullerton for 40 years, volunteered at Sunday schools, grade schools, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and CARE. Currently a member and volunteer of Olive Community Services, and serving on the board of Olive Foundation, manager of Olive-based facility. Some of her hobbies include reading, likes to learn different languages, being a student of the Quran, traveling, sewing, playing word games and puzzles. Apart from English and Urdu, she can read and write Arabic, Spanish, Hindu, and Telugu. Currently aiming to raise awareness of global warming and its effects on our only livable planet Earth by reducing the carbon footprint by taking small steps at home.
All right, thank you, Rainforest, and thank you, Nani. So let's go ahead and start. My first question for you is, how did your childhood memories influence your adult life, and how does it relate to your definition of resilience?
Thank you for giving me the chance to come on this panel. And Rainforest, thank you very much for the introduction. To answer your first question, everyone has a lot of childhood memories, but I'm going to focus only the one that is related to your question. So my childhood, I had a very happy, satisfied, content, and very peaceful childhood. And there was no violence. There were no drugs. My childhood was completely different from the childhood that people are living now, and the kids, you guys grow up. Our lifestyle was very different, and we did not have any technology. We did not have any TV. We did not have any video games. Um, you know, but still we were very happy, and we didn't have tons of clothes and tons of, the closet full of clothes, racks full of shoes, uh, the bins of clothes. I mean, the toys that you guys have, we never had that.
Right.
But yet our childhood was very satisfied and happy. And today we talk about recycle. For us, it was a way of life, because everything was recycled. I mean, whatever things we had to recycle, we recycle, but there was hardly anything to recycle. The only thing I remember was recycled glass bottles, the soda bottles, and tins and cans. Other than that, we did not produce any the garbage that is produced these days. So yeah, it was like, I had never seen a garbage truck in my childhood.
Wow.
Yes, that is just the fact of my childhood. Yes, and I'm just so proud of being that child, who grew up in that kind of society.
Yeah.
Everything was recycled. Everything was purchased in like the food was not packed in the packages. There was no packaging. We just bought from the bins and brought it home, and then stored in either ceramic containers or metal containers or glass containers, but there was no plastic. I think until 1960, 70, there was no plastic in India. But now there also it has changed. The only plastic I knew was a doll that was given to me. It was a plastic doll. And other than that, we did not have any plastic. So those were good times.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did your childhood memories relate to your definition of resilience?
Resilience, my grandparents played a very significant role in our upbringing. Our grandparents' generation was little different than a lot of other grandparents' generation, because being an Indian, they went through a lot of hardships. They witnessed the 2 world wars. They witnessed plague. They witnessed Spanish flu that lasted for 3 years, and there was famine, and there were lot of states had droughts, and the British rule caused a lot of upheaval in the system, and the partition of India. India was divided into 2 countries, and the aftermath of the partition and the political upheaval after that. So they saw the sufferings, they saw the hardship, and they saw what happened in those last 100 years, and that kind of made them very strong, and that I drew that strength from them. Just listening to that, I mean, they were not directly affected by that, but I think every Indian in the generation was affected by all that bit, because when something like this happens in a country, everybody gets affected. So, but they had seen people go through the troubles, they had seen people go through the hardship, and they taught us how to survive in difficult situations. So that was the lesson I learned from them. And my youngest brother, when he was 18, he passed away, and it was very, very difficult for me to cope the loss. And if it was not for the stories that I heard from them, if it was not their influence on me and my husband's support, I was able to cope and overcome that grief. And that is hardship for me, is like overcoming the difficult situation, either physically, mentally, emotionally, or financially, and go on with life without hurting oneself. So I was able to do that. That's how you draw the strength from. So grandparents' role in my life was very, very important. Not only that, all my cultural, religious, all the values, whatever I learned in my life, in my childhood, I still use them in my adult life. And not a single day goes by that I don't think of them. And every time I come across a difficult situation, I think of them. What she would have done, what he would have done.
Yeah, that's so nice to hear that your grandparents had such a impact on your life.
Yes.
I know
yes.
my grandparents do too.
Yeah,
So,
and the respect, I learned to respect elders and the teachers. That was very, very important part of my childhood. Like, every time we saw a teacher coming from a distance, we would run and say salam to them. And any elder walked in the room, we stood up from our chairs to give them a space.
Yeah.
Those were the values I learned from them, yes.
Yeah. So, on to the next question. Can you give us a glimpse into your life as a new American immigrant in the time period you moved? And how is your experience different from Muslims now?
Oh, okay. The time I moved to this country was 1979. And it wasn't a very good time to move because the Iranian Revolution that occurred around the same time had affected the whole world, actually. So I will tell you that incident later, but other than that, my experience was very good with people. I kind of learned their ways, and then the first thing I noticed was the country was very clean, and there was no graffiti, and there was no tagging, and people stood in the line for their turn, and they didn't push each other, and they gave some space, and then the one thing really struck me in the very beginning, everybody would smile at you and say, "Have a nice day."
Wow.
That is kind of very amazing that I learned, and the people, then my neighbors were very nice. I became friends very early, like within a week with them, and they took me out, and I learned bingo for the first time. And this neighbor lady asked me one day if I wanted to play board game, because I had told her that we used to play board games. She said, "Can you play backgammon?" I said, "What is backgammon?" I did not know what backgammon was.
Wow.
Yeah, and I learned a lot of things from American culture. Yes.
Wow,
And
that's so good to
yeah,
hear.
except for one incident when it was like within a 2 week that it was Thanksgiving time, and then we were invited at somebody's house. So all my husband and I and his brother and his wife, we were all parked the car in the apartment in front of the apartment building, and they got out and they walked to the apartment building, but somehow it took me a little longer to get out. So as I was crossing, this bunch of young kids drove by in a pickup truck, and they just slowed down the car and then started yelling at me, "Go back to your country," assuming I was Iranian.
Wow.
So that gave me a fright. I froze for a little while, but that I still remember that. I still remember them screaming, "Go back to your country."
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
startling experience.
Yes, I know. But after that, I never experienced any discrimination or any animosity of any kind. I mean, I did not notice anything.
That's good to hear, Alhamdulillah.
Yes,
Do you think
yeah.
that your experience is different from Muslims today?
Yes, definitely it is different, because the word the Islamophobia is very new. It wasn't there before.
Right.
And living as a Muslim in this country, it is very difficult. There are a lot of cases have been reported. The 9/11 or whatever situation occurred, it triggered a lot of anger and a lot of hostility towards American Muslims or Muslims in general. Things were not like that when I moved in 1979.
Right. Yeah. Adding on to that, can you please describe a life-changing moment and how you think it has made you who you are today?
Yes, moving to this country was the life-changing moment for me for two reasons. One, I think it changed for everybody, I would say, because that 1979 Iranian revolution has affected the whole world. What had happened was like a group of Iranian students took over the US embassy and seized 54 American diplomats and US citizens and kept them hostage for 444 days.
Wow.
Yeah, that not only changed the political landscape of Persian Gulf, but it triggered geopolitical realignment, and that exists today. I mean, it continues to be the same. I mean, even just if you watch the latest news, how the system is like changed for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember we learned about like the Iranian Revolution in history class, but like it's never talked about that much. So I think it's a different perspective that you bring it up, because it seems to be a bigger deal than historians make it.
Yeah, plus it happened just less than 2 weeks before I moved to this country. So that was like the things were a little fresh in people's minds, and that every day we sit and watch the news. Day 31, day 32, Iran crisis, right? That was the news we watched every night for 444 days. So there was some anger, among some people, but majority of the people did not really show as much animosity as they show today. And that was at a global level, that how the world has changed, and it has changed me also. But at a smaller scale, moving to this country itself was a big change. I mean, across the continent, the person who has never traveled, stayed only in one city all her life, and then all of a sudden moving to a completely different country, it was a cultural shock. And, the fear of fitting in and not knowing the culture and the extreme. I mean, I came from a hot country to a very cold, frigid Chicago, windy city, Chicago, and I hated wearing the coats, the big long coats, and everything was new. I did not even, I barely cooked anything. When I was growing up, everything was done for me. I didn't have to do anything. There was no responsibility put on my shoulders. And all of a sudden, I'm kind of running a household. I did not even know how to. I always it gave me anxiety, and I was not sure if I was going to be able to do it. But in time, you learn, you grow up, and you become what you are, and then go on with your life. And then that's how it happened with me. And even when you miss your family, you take a 4-hour flight or 2-hour flight and visit your parents, or you call, or you Skype, you do video time. But that time there was nothing, no Skype, no Zoom, not even WhatsApp. And phone bills were extremely expensive. Like, our apartment rent was lower than our telephone bill. So that's how we grew up. And
Speaking of running your household, I know you run your household in a very environmentally friendly way. So how has living sustainably changed your life, And in regards to that, is there any advice you would give the next generation?
Yes, it has changed a lot. I mean, last 3 years, it is a battle because not only you're battling yourself, you're battling with your family around, your friends around, and once you become aware of certain things, then you want everyone to do that. I know it is kind of too much to expect from others, but you bleed when you see people throwing so much stuff, right? So that's kind of it. It takes a time for you to calm down and relax and then do what you're doing. Yes, it has changed, and I think all my childhood influence, I think, has helped me do that, because I always think if I did it that long ago, I can still do it, and if I can do it, everybody can do it. So my advice for you, everyone, is to the first advice is like, when I was in college, I wanted to go to medical school, and I tried, and we had to pass this exam to appear in the medical test, and I was not qualified for that because I didn't have enough marks. So that I was disheartened and never tried again. If I had tried, maybe I would have gotten into it. I don't have any regret for not getting into medical school. I have regrets for not trying it. So never give up. Try again. You always have another chance. So I lost my chance. That's how I feel. And the second advice is respect your elders. Respect your elders. That is very, very, very important.
Of course.
Yeah, and my last advice is be cautious about your natural resources. We are going to run out of our resources sooner than expected.
Right.
That's just yesterday's article I was reading. United States produce more waste than all the European Union countries put together produce.
Wow.
That's just yesterday's article.
That's crazy. Like, we know that America generates so much trash, but like, to put it in those terms, like, it just gives us a bigger picture of how serious the problem really is.
Yeah, there are some practices that I'm going to share with you how I do it. Right now, I'm staying in a hotel in Montana, and when you are in a hotel, the water bottles are given to you, right? And here there is a lot of water available. The water flows, right? So there is a slogan at the bottom of the bottle: water flows free. So usually at the hotels they give you only 2 bottles, but here water bottles are complimentary. You can get as many water bottles as you want. But we took only 1 water bottle, and we brought our own water bottles, and I just go to the fountain and get my bottles filled. Wow. So that's how you can do it. I mean, people think, oh, you're traveling and you don't have the access to clean water or drinking water. You can have it. You can go to McDonald's, you can go to Dairy Queen, you can go anywhere there is a water fountain and get your water bottle filled.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah, and I have eliminated a lot of plastic waste by adapting to a lot of different things. Like when I was growing up in India, we never had shampoo bottles. We had like bar soaps. And even for the laundry liquid did not come in plastic bottles. There were long bars, like a really long bars, and my mom used to get it for once a month, and then she would cut into small pieces, and those bars were used for washing the clothes and washing dishes. There were no plastic containers, and even the bath soap, there were a couple of, one bath soap for one bar for girls and 1 bar for boys. We all used the bar soaps. We didn't have tons of shampoo bottles, conditioner bottles, even the makeup. When there is a makeup regime, there are 8 different bottles for everyone. And what do? You end up throwing them, right?
Yeah.
And the same with the plastic bags. We always took the burlap bags and handmade cloth bags, and we used and reused them all the time. And that's what I have been doing now. I get everything in bars, my shampoo, my conditioner, and I make my own hand soap. I make my own laundry soap. All you have to do is just put a tablet and mix it with water, and it's ready. Even the glass cleaner, bathroom cleaners, everything comes in the form of
Wow.
tablets.
Wow, that's amazing. MashaAllah.
Yeah.
So,
So, you don't have to take that drastic steps in the beginning. You can start with one plastic bottle and
yeah.
one step at a time, right? So it takes
Yeah.
long time, and it's an effort, and you have to make an effort to get something.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Well, I see we have some questions in the chat, so we can get started on those. Well, I think you already answered Hanifa's question. One small thing that you do every day to be environmentally conscious, the soap, right?
Yes.
But Huzaifa's question seems really cool. Who influenced you to be environmentally conscious, and why are you so passionate about it?
Well, say it again.
Who influenced you to be environmentally conscious, and why are you passionate about it?
It is not who influenced me, it is what influenced me. When I saw the devastation, when I saw the environmental effects on this earth, I decided that let me start something on my own. And one small step at a time.
Very nice. Any more questions from anyone? Put them in the chat.
Oh, I lived in Chicago. I lived in Ohio, and I'm here now. Differences are, and actually, yeah, there are a lot of differences. Here you see people are little different than Chicago. This is my experience. It may not be for everybody. There, people were more friendly. Here, people I find like always go, moving places. There, people were a little more relaxed, or maybe it must have changed now. And Ohio was a very smaller town, so very laid back, and it was a rural area, so very nice, very different experience.
Do you have a favorite place that you've lived?
My favorite place that I lived before, or I live?
That you've lived before, or now, if you want to include now in the running.
Yeah, California is my favorite place.
Yeah.
After my home country, of course.
Of course.
That's, yeah. There is no comparison.
We have another good question here. What motivates you to volunteer for so many organizations?
Because I have always, again, it goes back to my grandparents, because my grandparents were volunteers, especially my grandmother. And she would help anybody who came to her, not at organizations or outside the house, but at home. She was always there for people every time. And another thing they did was my dada and dadi, they never hired any help for themselves. Till the last day, they got sick. They were doing things on their own. My grandfather was a very remarkable man. He even tiled his own roof.
Wow.
Yeah, and everybody used to tell him, no, don't do this, get somebody to help you, but he would do things on his own. And they would help people a lot. So that helping nature and then that compassion, I think I saw in them, and that motivates me to do that.
Wow. Well, does
Can I share one very interesting story?
Yeah, of course.
It has nothing to do with all that, but it is something to do with my growing up. Sure. This is my most fascinating story. I was fascinated by that. The landing on the moon. And I'm still awed by the fact that man can walk on another planet.
Yeah.
Do you find it fascinating?
Yeah, there's like a caveat to that though. I mean, of course I find it fascinating. That's amazing. But that knowledge has just been in the back of my head ever since I was born. I was born before the moon landing. And so, I don't know, it'll always amaze me in some way, but it'll also like, because now we're just moving on to the next thing, like moving on to walking on
Mars.
Mars.
Mars,
Right. So,
yeah. It's not as fascinating, but
yeah,
landing on the moon was very fascinating. I mean,
for
it still
sure.
is. And unfortunately, we did not have TV that time, so we just read the newspaper and heard the radio. I still remember that, that's the one step for man and then giant leap for mankind.
Mm-hmm.
I still hear that in my head.
That's amazing. I love that you've gotten to experience that, something so big like that.
Yeah.
All right. If anyone doesn't have any more questions, we can move on to the activity. Shanim, you're welcome to stay, or if you have to leave, you can. But we're just gonna get started with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there is a fact about the about the plastic bottle. It takes I just learned that it takes 450 years for it to decompose completely. I mean, it doesn't even decompose. It's just uh, turns into microplastic and then stays in the environment and causes harm to the
right.
environment. So plastic is
Yeah.
forever. Whatever plastic so far has been produced, it's forever to stay.
Right. Oh, right. So I have a little environmental quiz. So I made it really hard on you guys this time because you guys are always fantastic at these. So I made it hard. Be warned. So you can put your answers in the chat or you can say them out loud. But here we go. So, okay. First question. What's the main cause of climate change? You can put the number in the chat or say it out loud. So I see a lot of ones, I'm sure. Can you guys see the chat when I pull it up or no? I hope not. Okay, so the answer is supposed to spin. So let's hope it does that. Sorry. So the answer was actually 3, if you guys saw it spin. Variation in Earth's orbit and sun's output. So I was also confused by this, but from what I've learned, that the other ones are just like man-made things that like make it worse, but ultimately it's because of the Earth's orbit and the sun's output. Okay, next question. Which of these has the most energy? I see a few too. Oh, I see answers all across the board. Right, the answer was 4, a hurricane. You guys are so quiet. Nobody wants to talk? Okay. All right. What kind of bag is most eco-friendly?
2.
I really hope someone puts 3. Because, yeah, people are putting 3.
Maybe because I love cats.
Yeah, I put that because I was like, what should I put for the third one? I was like, I should do a silly one. And my cat was like right next to me, so I was like, of course, the answer is so clear. One with the cat.
That's perfect.
But the answer is 2, reusable. But I think number 3 is a close second. All right, how many times can paper be recycled? This one, I was surprised to find the answer to. I feel like I just gave it away, but whatever. Right. I see a lot of 2s. Ooh, 6. Interesting. The answer is 6. I thought it was infinity, like infinitely, but it's not. You can only do it 6 times, or else like the paper fibers, like they're not as like strong. But that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, paper is decomposed within like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
It just disappears.
Right. Next question. How long does it take for carbon dioxide to disperse in the atmosphere? A lot of 1s, few 4s, 5. Yeah, like I feel like it could be any of these. Okay, so I see like all the numbers. So I don't even remember, and I made this quiz. It was 3, 100 years. That's crazy. That's too long. Which country releases the most greenhouse gases? Okay, it's almost 4 across. It's 4 across the board. So it's actually China, because they still have the world's largest population, but America is definitely like a close second, and Indonesia and India is like up there, but Indonesia is coming for India because their population is also growing. But yeah, good job, guys. All right, how much of Earth's water can we use? All right, I see a couple of 4s, a few 2s.
2.
Wait, why is everyone saying 4? How do you guys know that? Oh, it's not 4. Dang, I really thought it was 4. It's 2. It's under 1%.
96% just seems so specific.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I even fell for that too, and I made this quiz. We can ignore that. Let's pretend I knew the answer.
26% is almost like 1/4 of the total water. We cannot use that much water.
Yeah. Right. Okay, almost there. Which of these is a renewable resource? I feel like this one, you guys should get. Okay, I see everyone saying 1.
No.
Yeah. Nice. Renewable.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 4. Like, you can grow trees. The rest are like greenhouse gases and stuff. Right. How many rainforest trees are cut every minute? Okay, I remember the answer to this one because like I made it so that you guys would be confused. I remember I was trying to play like mind games. And I see it's working. I see different numbers in the chat. Ooh. I think the answer is
2.
It's 1. What's 2? Let's find out. It's 1.
Is it good or bad? 2,000 trees a minute.
Well,
Horrible.
it's definitely not good, but I also put 10,000 to make people like a little bit relieved.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. It's still not good. Definitely, it should not be that high.
That's why it is not even good to use paper bags. It's good to use reusable bags.
Right.
That last like for very, very long time.
Exactly. And next question.
4.
4. This is the chat say. I see lots of 4s. It's not 4. Like, that's what I remember for sure. It's not. It's 2. Douglas fir. I didn't know that. I thought it was also for, like,
I searched it up. It says the tallest tree in the world is a
okay,
coastal redwood.
okay, Josefa, you know that's cheating. I'm disappointed.
No. After you told me, it was
Oh,
two.
okay, okay. Well, the online quiz I may or may not have taken this from to Douglas fir, so I will bring it up with them. But as of now, the answer is two. I don't know. All right. And finally, what can you do to live sustainably? I want to see which one of you guys are going to put four. Really, Hanifa? All?
One, 2, and 3.
Carefully. You guys, for the people saying all, are you going to really do number 4? Yeah, definitely has to be 4. Yeah.
There's no way it's not 4. That's just impossible.
Yeah, the word unsustainably is literally in number 4, so you should probably not pick that. But yes, it's 1, 2, and 3. And I'm pretty sure that's the last question because it was the funny one. So good job, everyone. And that was all I had planned. And thank you, Sanunani, for being here today and for being our last speaker of the year.